Police officer ain't know who Zoedown was, bitch. His ass tried to get me. I done took the. I bet on G. Oh shit. Fuck. Thank you for the whip though. Hey, what you mean? What that mean? What that mean?
Bad boy like I'm signed to Diddy. I'm laughing, I just put a 10 on his fitting. I'm wiping his nose. Checking to me when you come to my city. Green bean flash, put that on the fit. Wiping your nose if I left out the door. Play with me, spinning your bin with a glizz. I'm clouded up, I don't see none of you. I'm stopping that car if I see you up in it.
Hit the like button and subscribe for more content like this. TikToker takes a police cruiser for a 30-minute ride. Then the dashboard lights up dots with the scene so unbelievable that without the video, many viewers might assume it was staged. A young Florida TikTok creator known online as Zoedown appears to be sitting behind the wheel of a police cruiser. He isn't standing beside it. He isn't filming it from a parking lot. He is apparently driving it. And according to the story circulating with the footage, this wasn't supposed to be a quick joke lasting a few seconds. Zoedown allegedly drove around in the cruiser for approximately 30 minutes before something happened that appeared to change his entire mood. Warning lights began illuminating the dashboard. The vehicle appeared to start shutting down. And Zoe, apparently confused about what the cruiser was telling him, looked at the instrument panel and asked a question that immediately stood out. What does this mean? That one question captures how quickly a situation that may have seemed entertaining could become extremely serious. Before going any further, it is important to separate what can actually be seen in circulating clips from allegations surrounding the incident. A social media video alone does not establish exactly how someone obtained a vehicle, whether permission existed, what happened before recording started, or what criminal charges, if any, were ultimately filed. Those details require confirmation from law enforcement, court records, or other reliable documentation. But if the account surrounding the footage is accurate, the bigger question is obvious. How does somebody end up driving around in a police cruiser in the first place? The video that made people stop scrolling social media is built around grabbing attention quickly. Creators have only seconds to convince someone not to swipe away. But seeing someone apparently sitting inside a law enforcement vehicle creates instant curiosity. The interior isn't an ordinary passenger car. Police vehicles can contain radios, computers, partitions, emergency light controls, and specialized equipment. That alone makes footage from inside one feel different. Zoe appears relaxed in the images circulating online. He's smiling. He seems comfortable. At least at that particular moment, the seriousness of what is allegedly happening doesn't appear to have completely registered. And that's where this story becomes fascinating. Because approximately 30 minutes can feel like an eternity when you're somewhere you aren't supposed to be. Think about how much can happen during that amount of time. A vehicle can be reported missing. Officers can begin searching. Dispatchers can communicate its description and identifying information. Cameras can capture its movement. And electronic systems inside a modern law enforcement vehicle may provide authorities with information that an ordinary person doesn't realize exists. If Zoe believed this was simply another vehicle that could be driven around unnoticed, that assumption could potentially have been a major mistake. Then the dashboard changed. Eventually, something appears to go wrong. Lights begin showing on the dashboard. The carefree atmosphere suddenly becomes uncertainty. Zoe looks toward the instrument cluster. And then comes the question, what does this mean? It's a simple sentence, but in context, it changes everything. Moments earlier, the situation could be interpreted as someone enjoying the excitement of being inside a police cruiser. Now the vehicle itself seems to be telling him something. The dashboard warning suggests something isn't operating normally. Was there a mechanical problem? Was the cruiser running low on fuel? Was an anti-theft or security feature involved? Could authorities remotely disable that particular vehicle? Without verified technical information about the exact cruiser, those questions cannot responsibly be answered as facts. Police fleets vary considerably. Some departments use technology that allows vehicles to be tracked, monitored, or remotely managed. Others may have different security systems entirely. So seeing warning lights does not automatically prove police remotely shut down this specific cruiser. But imagine Zoe's perspective. You're allegedly driving a police vehicle. You've been moving around for roughly half an hour. Suddenly, warning indicators appear. Then the vehicle begins behaving differently. At that point, every light on the dashboard probably feels like bad news. And asking, what does this mean, may demonstrate something even more important. The person behind the wheel apparently doesn't understand what the vehicle is doing. A police cruiser isn't an ordinary car. This is where the incident goes beyond a viral TikTok moment. A marked or equipped police cruiser represents authority to the public. People react differently when they see one approaching. Drivers may slow down. Some motorists may pull over, believing an officer is behind them. Pedestrians could assume the occupant is law enforcement. And depending on how a vehicle is equipped, there may be sensitive equipment inside. That is why unauthorized possession of a law enforcement vehicle, if proven, is potentially much more serious than a social media prank. There is also the basic danger of driving a vehicle you don't fully understand. If warning lights appear and the driver doesn't know what they mean, continuing to operate the vehicle could potentially create additional risks. This is where internet entertainment collides with real-world consequences. TikTok might measure success in views, likes, shares, and comments. The justice system measures conduct very differently. Why? 30 minutes matters. The alleged 30-minute timeline is one of the most interesting parts of this story. If somebody unexpectedly gained access to a police cruiser and immediately got out, that would be one situation. But allegedly driving it around for half an hour raises entirely different questions. Where did the vehicle travel? Were traffic cameras operating nearby? Did anyone interact with the cruiser believing Zoe was an officer? Was the vehicle being tracked? When did law enforcement realize it was gone? And most importantly, how did the situation finally end? Those are questions investigators would likely want answered if the underlying allegations are accurate. Digital evidence could also become important. When somebody records their own actions and publishes them online, investigators may potentially have access to evidence that previous generations of police could only dream about. The footage may show locations. It may establish portions of a timeline. Audio could reveal statements. Background landmarks could help determine where the vehicle traveled. Upload information might establish when material was posted. Additional videos could potentially show what happened immediately before or afterward. The irony of the social media era is that the same content created to generate attention can sometimes become part of an investigation. When content becomes evidence for creators, a phone is normally a production studio. It records the story, it edits the story, it publishes the story. But when alleged criminal activity is involved, that phone can potentially become something completely different. Evidence. Investigators routinely examine publicly available social media content when it is relevant to a case. Depending on legal process and circumstances, authorities may also seek additional digital information. That makes the decision to record alleged misconduct especially risky. A creator might think, this is going viral. An investigator might look at the same clip and think, this establishes a timeline. Those are two completely different perspectives on the exact same video. And the footage of Zoe apparently asking about dashboard warning lights could become one of the most memorable moments because it captures the point where confidence appears to turn into confusion. What were those lights? Viewers immediately want to know what the dashboard indicators meant. But this is exactly where speculation needs to stop. A dashboard can display warnings for dozens of reasons. Different makes, models, police packages, and aftermarket systems can behave differently. Some warning indicators are routine, others indicate maintenance problems. Others may involve electrical systems. A vehicle shutting down could result from several completely different causes. Therefore, without identifying the exact cruiser and obtaining reliable information about its equipment, nobody should declare that authorities definitely hit a kill switch. Could a law enforcement fleet potentially use remote management technology? Yes, depending on the department and equipment. Does the video alone prove that's what happened here? No. And that distinction matters. The strongest documentary doesn't need to invent an explanation. Sometimes the unanswered question is more interesting. Because imagine watching those lights appear while knowing you're allegedly inside a police cruiser you aren't authorized to possess. Every second becomes suspense. The engine changes behavior. More indicators appear. The driver looks down. Confusion sets in. What does this mean? Maybe somewhere else, someone already knew exactly what it meant. The internet reaction. Situations like this naturally divide audiences. One group watches because the situation seems absurd. Another immediately recognizes how dangerous it could become. Others question whether the entire thing is real. And that skepticism is healthy. Social media is full of staged content. Videos are frequently reposted without context. Captions can transform an ordinary clip into a completely different story. That's why viewers should distinguish between what the video visually establishes and what captions claim happened. The images show a young man appearing to be inside a police-style vehicle and footage of a dashboard with warning indicators. The broader allegation that the cruiser was stolen and driven for approximately 30 minutes needs independent verification before being presented as an established criminal fact. If law enforcement confirms those allegations, however, this becomes much bigger than viral content. The potential consequences. Taking somebody else's vehicle without authorization can lead to serious criminal allegations. When the vehicle belongs to a law enforcement agency, circumstances can become even more complicated. The precise charges would depend on Florida law, the facts established by investigators and prosecutors, and what Zoe allegedly did with the vehicle. That could involve questions about unauthorized vehicle use or theft, property damage, fleeing officers, impersonation, interference with law enforcement equipment, or other offenses. But none of those should be attributed to Zoe unless authorities actually filed them, and charges themselves would still be allegations unless proven in court. That's important because social media often conducts its trial before the legal system even begins. A viral caption can make somebody appear guilty within minutes. The actual justice process takes evidence. The bigger lesson, this story represents something larger happening across social media. Creators are constantly competing for attention. Yesterday's outrageous video becomes today's normal video. So some people feel pressure to push further. Go somewhere nobody else will go. Do something nobody else will do. Film something nobody else would risk filming. But there's a point where content stops being entertainment. A police cruiser isn't a prop. A highway isn't a movie set. And real law enforcement isn't part of a TikTok challenge. One viral video can generate millions of views, but those views cannot erase real-world consequences. 30 minutes of attention can potentially create months or even years of legal problems. The moment everything changed, perhaps that's why the dashboard moment is so compelling. There is something almost symbolic about it. The lights start coming on one by one. The vehicle begins communicating that something has changed, and suddenly the excitement appears to disappear. Zoe looks toward the dashboard. What does this mean? Maybe that question wasn't only about the cruiser. Maybe, unintentionally, it captured the entire situation. What does this mean for the vehicle? What does this mean for the person driving it? What does this mean if police are already looking for it? What does this mean when the video reaches millions of people? And what does this mean when investigators see the footage? Those are the questions that remain after the laughter and shock disappear. Final thoughts. If Zoedown actually took a Florida police cruiser without permission and drove it for approximately 30 minutes, this wasn't simply an unbelievable TikTok adventure. It was an extraordinarily risky situation. But until official records establish precisely what occurred, viewers should resist turning internet captions into confirmed facts. The footage deserves questions. How did he allegedly obtain access to the cruiser? How long was he actually driving? Did authorities know where the vehicle was? Why did the dashboard suddenly illuminate? What caused the cruiser to begin shutting down? Was the vehicle electronically disabled, or was something mechanical happening? And what happened immediately after the recording stopped? Because that's the part social media doesn't always show. The video ends, the comments explode, the reposts begin. Everybody laughs at the craziest moment, but somewhere outside the frame, reality continues. And if investigators were waiting at the end of that ride, the most important 30 minutes of this story may not have been the 30 minutes Zoe allegedly spent driving the cruiser. They may have been the 30 minutes immediately afterward, a TikToker, a police cruiser, a dashboard full of warning lights, and one question that could become the defining line of the entire video. What does this mean? The answer may eventually come not from TikTok, but from investigators, police records, and a courtroom. Like, comment, and subscribe.